Today, we're looking at a green ink by KWZ Hunter Green. Now, as always, there's timestamps down below so you can skip around, but if you've got the time, I'd appreciate you checking out the entire video. Now, if you're interested in other green inks, down in the description is a link to a green ink playlist that you can check out. Welcome back. I'm an ink guy. Let's get into 90 GSM Clairfontaine. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is a bit lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 16 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 21 seconds to dry. Now the scrubby for both show us no color variation because we don't get any, but the smear, you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. To have a range of experience with this ink, the writing samples are done with a Jinhao 159 with a 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a medium, and a Jinhao X750 with an extra fine. Then, a Viscosity Medici with a broad nib was inked up, used for a day, and used to take the notes for this video. Now, let's take a look at the second paper, 52 GSM Tomoe River. We have minor bleeding. We have no bleeding in the writing. We have very minor ghosting in the writing. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 23 seconds to dry. The medium is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 32 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show no color variation because there is none. And the smear test shows you probably could not recover it if you smeared while you were writing. I agree with Vita. There's a lot to learn by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. A line of ink is put down and then it's put into water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we see there's this kind of pink tone at the bottom. Now that pushes its way up and we do get this very nice brown, but at the very, very top, you see a very dark, dark blue. Quite interesting, the mix for this. The one on the right is let dry for 10 minutes before it's put into water. And it basically looks the same. It makes me really feel that there's not going to be any hold on for this ink. The next writing sample is done on 80 GSM Rhodia dot pad. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is a little lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 18 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 24 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation and we're not getting any. In the smear test, you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it may be to clean from your pen. The smear is allowed to dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, it gets some spread, it gets some blowout in the lowercase h, and that blowout in the lowercase h is why I would not use it as a note taker if I need to go back and highlight. Now, water is lifting most of it, but leaving this kind of gray tone on the paper. Pen flush is doing a little bit more than water does. You see the gray tone, there's a line of it across right with the flush that's a little bit lighter, but it's not really getting it off the paper entirely, and the 1/3 bleach solution is completely removing it. Now, it only took water to get this out of my pen. The next writing sample is done on life paper. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is a bit lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 15 seconds to dry. The medium is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 20 seconds to dry. Now the scrubby for both show us no color variation and we're not getting it, and the smear test, you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, there is an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. KWZ's Hunter Green has a viscosity of 1.99, making it just a bit wetter than normal. If you're interested in how the viscosity is tested or how that bell curve's made, then there's a link to that video down in the description. Now, let's take a look at Levenger paper. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen or shade and 10 seconds to dry. The medium is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade and 13 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show no color variation. We're really not getting it. The smear test says you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average dry time is 17 seconds, and the realm of normal is 13 to 21 seconds. KWZ's Hunter Green has an average dry time of 22 seconds, making it take just a little bit longer than normal. The last writing sample is done on Franklin Christoph paper. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 9 seconds to dry. The medium is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 12 seconds to dry. Now the scrubby for both show us no color variation because this ink does not have any. And a smear test, you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. Instead of finding inks that look like KWZ's Hunter Green, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. Being this is such a dark green, I really wanted a much lighter tone, like a pink. And I went with Herbin's Rose Tendresse. If you'd prefer a different complement color, then there's color playlists down in the description and you can check those out. So what do I think of KWZ's Hunter Green? This writes much darker than it swatches. Too dark a tone for me. There is some tone variation and almost no shading at all. So what nib and pen will give the best writing experience with this ink? I think a medium to dry fine pen can put down less ink, giving you the opportunity to bring out some shading, but I really didn't get very much. I didn't point it out in the writing samples because it was only spots a little bit darker or spots a little bit lighter. I hope you got something out of this video, and tomorrow we're going to take a look at Rhodia and Klinger's Konig Blau.